Hey, good people. So today is the first day of my 5-part series of best practices. Today I'm going to talk about best practices for age-appropriate activities. So my first point that I want to dive into is, what is age-appropriate activities? What does that look like? Let me give you an example. So if I have a classroom full of 2-year-olds to 2.5, and say we are practicing writing. I have given them a sheet of paper and it has lines for them to be able to write their names on top, right? My first expectation of expecting my 2 to 2.5-year-olds to practice free writing letters is not age appropriate. Now, can my 2 to 2.5-year-olds practice attempting to trace over letters? Absolutely, right? But even then, that's still pushing it, because at this age we're really worried about our pencil grip, or we are righty or a lefty, and even then that's something that still takes time to be able to determine. So that's what I mean by age appropriate. So it's different for every age group, of course, but when you are creating activities, we want to make sure it's for that appropriate level, right? We want them to be able to have a little bit of a challenge, but we don't want it to be to where nobody's able to get the content the teacher is trying to put out and the children begin to feel discouraged. Because whether you believe it or not, kids have emotions, and when they don't get something right, when they feel like they're doing something wrong, they all respond to it in different ways. So we want to ensure that we're also boosting up the social and emotional portion with them as well during activities. And when they are struggling, making sure that we're able to kind of level it down a bit to be customizable for their specific level that they are on. Okay, so first note, making sure that the activities we are choosing are age appropriate. Okay. The second one, including a mixture of teaching skills that challenge them to strengthen what the activity is set to do. So what is the learning objective in the activity? So let's keep with our writing one for an example. If the purpose of my writing activity is to see what hand each student naturally kind of gravitates to, and also, with that being said, are they able to follow lines? So I don't know if you guys have ever taken a highlighter and kind of wrote a kid's name or numbers and then given them a pencil or a marker to attempt to trace over what you have already done. Now, this is a perfect example of allowing them to do an activity but giving them a bit of challenge to it, okay? The challenge portion comes from their grip. How steady, is their hand able to hold the writing utensil? And since we're on the subject of writing, I really want to point out how important it is for kids to experience different forms of writing every single day. And I'll tell you why. I'm in school, so we did a little experiment where we were given a crayon, a pencil, I believe a mechanical pencil as well, and a marker. And we were asked to use our non-dominant hand and write our name using our non-dominant hand. Some of you may have did something like this before, but if you haven't, I suggest you try it and see the difference in, one, the sizing that you wrote your name down, and also two, how tightly did you have to grip the utensil, or how loosely, or how much pressure did you have to push down with in order to get your name wrote. I want us to kind of keep those things in mind when we are trying to teach little people how to trace and how to freehand and how to do uppercase and lowercase. It takes time, right? This is a skill that will ever be continuing to develop even as they go into adulthood. So with that being said, look at your examples of you writing your name and see, man, like it was kind of hard to write with the crayon, or Yeah, my letters were pretty big when I wrote with the marker. Look at that, and maybe that can kind of give us a little grace, you know, when we're working with our kids and we're trying to practice name writing. So that is my second point, is making sure the skills that we are teaching them is a combination of which challenge them, right? But also ones that they can easily grasp. And my third one for today is ensuring that the activity is stimulating for the child. So what are we working on? If it's a writing activity, obviously we're working with more of a fine motor skills. If it's a motor skills activity, you know, we're using our legs and our arms. You know, what are we trying to focus on in our activity? There should be a learning objective preset with it so you know what to look for. And this comes in handy when you're doing observations, when you're doing assessments, when someone says, hey, how's my kid doing with writing? How's my kid doing playing well with others? How's my kid doing with cleaning up? How's my kid doing with writing? How's my kid doing with responding? All of them connect in a different type of way. So there are a plethora of learning opportunities that outside of just doing a small group activity. There are learning opportunities set for cleaning, for circle time, through conversation, and just your typical interactions with students throughout the day. We should be jotting these things down and keeping track of what students are learning and what they are struggling with, so we can make sure if we're creating an activity for them that we're customizing it to fit everybody's needs and not just our friends that are always the first ones to answer or the ones to always give us that attention when we're trying to get out a lesson. Okay? So this wraps up today's best practices for creating activities. I will see you guys tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about best practices for gaining inspiration and being inspired. All right, see you later.